How y'all doing? I'm Paul Ryan, your host of the Across the Cowboys podcast. If you're new to the show, thank you for joining us. And to our regular listeners, welcome back. With me, as always, is my co-host, the greatest co-host in the world, Mike the Pig Crum. Mike, how are you?
It's been a fun weekend, but like if fun was like not great, but now I'm with you guys, so it actually is fun. This is probably going to end up being pretty high on my list of things for this weekend, so I'm like second at worst. So that's good.
Well, Mike, I won't ask how you are. I know it's been a long day, but where can we find you on Twitter?
At CD Piglet, guys, nice and easy.
Of course, no show is complete without the conductor of the Jake Ferguson hype train, Mr. Brenden Fergy Smith. Brenden, how are you?
Doing great. I just finished a replay of Halo 1, and I am still anxious from all that crazy crap that went on.
I hear you, sir. Where can we find you on Twitter?
You can find me at Brenden_Smith26.
I am Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. Well, free agency is only a couple of days away, and with Dallas being active earlier than any of us expected, it was only right that we bring Cowboys Nation's salary cap soldier and the only person who has been a guest on the show multiple times. He predicted that Dak Prescott's contract down to the exact number, making his fourth appearance on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Mr. Frankie Kenneth. Frankie, how are you?
Hey guys, wow, it's crazy. This is four times already, right?
Yeah.
So they say, I guess once a coincidence, twice is a back-to-back. If we do 3, that's a streak. 4, we're gonna have to call this a tradition, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
If it's probably 5, we got to get you a robe like Saturday Night Live. 5 hosts.
Yeah, there you go.
5 Timers Club.
Yeah.
Only
glad to be back. I always enjoy these.
Yes, sir. One of my favorite episodes of the offseason for sure. Frankie, where can we find you on Twitter?
So on Twitter, my handle is Frankie Kenneth L, as in Lima, one word. Frankie Kenneth L.
All right, well, it has been a surprisingly active couple of weeks for the Dallas Cowboys early in the offseason as they agreed to new deals with Osa Ziggy-Dua, CJ Goodwin, and Brock Hoffman, with more to come. Reports came out that they plan to trade or cut star cornerback Trayvon Diggs. I can't remember the last time Dallas was this active this early. With free agency doesn't start until March 12th. Frankie, you're a salary cap and free agency guy. I'm curious, which NFL free agent not named Micah Parsons do you think will break the bank?
So it's going to be up to the Cowboys, really, to be honest. If the Cowboys wait on Micah, then it's probably going to be Micah who ends up making the most APY per year, and he'll get all those. He'll hit all the parameters and he'll reset them. However, I really think that the Cowboys can avoid that if they just approach him, give him a great value of a contract, and then he'll probably set the market for that week, and then all these other players that we expect to be lining up will probably overtake him. So it's up to the Cowboys, because you got Jamar Chase out there, you've got Myles Garrett is barking down there in Cleveland. He merits just as big of a contract as Micah, even though he's older. He's gonna command a reset of the market contract when he gets it. Jamar definitely will. I think he'll leave JJ and CD, be in the below him when he resets the market at the wide receiver position. And if he signs after Micah, it's probably gonna overtake Micah's, because that's what these agents are gonna be on the lookout for. And then you got a sneaky one, and it's Sam Darnold, because he's a quarterback, and even though he's not, what we consider a reset, he won't reset the quarterback market, but as a quarterback, he's gonna probably ask for about 40 a year, and it depends. So 1 second. So the way that could work out is, how do teams that are looking for quarterbacks and whatever his landing spots are going to be think about his last 2 games? because up to those last two games, leading to the playoffs and in the playoffs, he was making money. He was printing his own money right there. However, he did hit that wall and he didn't perform at the biggest stages. So do teams think that he's the Sam of old or the Sam of new? And he's a sneaky one that's gonna probably have the biggest 1 to 2 year, because I don't know if people are gonna sign him for a long term, but at least the 1 year APY, he could be the one that exceeds everyone else. So that's my sneaky dark horse there.
Question. I know you said that Micah starts this thing off and he might be the one that gets the most money, but Myles Garrett signed an extension. His deal now is 6 years, $205 million. He got a 4-year extension on the 2 that he already had, and it's $40 million a year. Do you think Micah goes over that this offseason when he signs, or do you think he comes in under the 40 a year?
All right, so let me make sure. So I must have missed it, and I haven't been online today. So you're saying that Myles Garrett signed an extension with Cleveland?
Yes, he had a 2 years left.
He
added 4 years, right. And the total deal is 6 years, $205 million, $123 million guaranteed. The 4-year extension is $40 million a year. He also got a no trade clause and $100 million the first 3 years. Yeah, but what I want to know is do you think Micah comes over the $40 million a year mark or under the $40 million a year mark?
I think it's going to be up to the Cowboys. If the Cowboys don't announce before the 3-day tampering rule that they have extended Micah, then Micah is going to break the 40. Because the only way that Micah takes less than 40 is as a good faith hometown discount mentality of let's get this stuff done and let's move on to better business. However, if the team doesn't approach him in that manner and they're trying to win the deal and they're haggling over dollars, then his agent is gonna hold out to. He could not only beat Miles's 40, he can hold out for even more, because I know what the public Micah has said out there, but the caveat about him, saying, look, I don't need to be the highest paid. He also came back and said, hey, look, the numbers are being taken by my agent. And I will tell you that his agent, I call him the kingmaker, because his agent is the number one big headline, I got my guy paid guy in the league. He's the same agent for Deshaun Watson. And we know that Watson has the most lucrative contract that has ever been dealt in the NFL. So he is the kingmaker, and he's not going to be advising Micah to take anything less. Now, I actually got to admit, I did not see that signing up because I haven't really been online today. I've been mostly watching movies and just taking care of stuff back here. So it's going to probably be up to I think he will take just less if it's done like I'm talking about 24 hours.
Brendan's question is going to get actually directly into that. So go ahead, Brenden, set him up.
Well, what type of deal are you thinking Mike is going to get?
Like, predict it for us, Frankie. Let's go.
So this just takes my numbers and mixes them up, because I will tell you that before this Garrett deal, the public opinion out there was that Micah was going to be like the first $40 million non-quarterback guy. I was leaving it up to the Cowboys to come in below that, again, as a hometown discount, good faith, massage the numbers in a way that he still gets his payroll and his payouts above everyone else. But the APY was going to probably be somewhere between 38 and 39, something that still resets the market for all non-quarterbacks, because that right now is I think Crosby, before today, it was Crosby who had that title, I think at 37 and a half. So I wouldn't start anywhere under that. So I started between 38, and I said, well, we're not going to get to 40 because the team and him are going to work this out. Now my numbers are so I'll take that back. So basically, you can add 5% to everything that Gary got, because I don't think the Cowboys are going to sign him over the next 48 hours. I just don't think so. That's the only way that he'll come like right at what Garrett is. Again, something that his agent will tell him, look, don't take anything less than this, less than this, less than this. So yeah, we're talking about now 41 APY and maybe like $5 more million guaranteed at signing, and about 15 million fully guaranteed, or virtual guarantees as they call them. But I think that the numbers I was thinking about, they've been crushed. They've been blown out the water with what you just told me that Garrett got.
All right.
It was reported that Jordan Lewis's market number would be 2.6 million per year would be the average. I thought that was kind of low. What kind of deal do you predict for Jordan Lewis?
Yeah, I saw that. So Spotrac has his market value set at about 2.5 and about a 2-year deal. And I, to be honest, and that's a go-to site, that does good work on predicting contracts. And when I saw that, I was like, look, run to wherever his agent is, print the paper, hand them the pen and help him sign that as soon as you can. Because if we can get J. Lou back at that price, I'm all for it. I'm all for it, with a celebration. So I did think that was way, way low. Even though I do know that we tend to overrate our own players, and J. Lou's a guy that's won our hearts, with his go-getterness and his leadership. So we probably value him higher for us than maybe other teams value him on their team.
Right.
For maybe the exception of the Commanders or maybe Seattle. Someone that has a defensive staff that came out of here knows exactly what he's made of. But I was thinking about 5 to 6 million a year, with about 12 million guaranteed and maybe some incentives in there. But no, 2.5 is way low, way low. I would think that if his agent is the same agent as Tank Lawrence, and they've met with the Cowboys already and did not reach an agreement. So it makes me think that there's a struggle there with some haggling over his contract. And it could be that the Cowboys are, they're probably showing him, this 2.5. Agent thinks like I do, which is between 5 and 6. Because I'm thinking just about a 2-year deal, and not both years fully guaranteed. Just guarantee the first one, a little bit of the second, throw in some incentives, and that's probably where they're at, where they're haggling over the 2.5 versus up to 6 a year. But that's where I am. I think if we see him signed for something between 5 and 6 million, we should be happy, because cornerback is a big need. I know we're going to talk about needs later on, but I see cornerback as a sneaky need for the same reason you said earlier with Trayvon Diggs. I will tell you, Trayvon Diggs, the only reason he's on this team right now, I'm going to tell you, is I believe, and because I don't know what the rules specifically say, is because he's injured. If he was not injured, if he were like, if he were to pass a physical today, I believe he would be released before the 5th day of the calendar year, because on the 5th day, his salary that is unsecured right now becomes fully guaranteed for injury. And we know he's been injured two years in a row. He fell out of favor with the training staff and things like that about his recovery. I am very leery about the type of injury he has. I mean, they're doing these experimental type of therapies for him, and it just doesn't sound good. And I think they want to cut bait. They just probably can't. Mm-hmm. So he's going to become a cap casualty either this year, if they can work it out, or next. That's my prediction. So write that down somewhere and see if I'm right or wrong.
He's having they're trying to rebuild cartilage in his knee, which is a big pain in the ass. I had Lewis's contract 3 years, $15 million, but up to 18 with incentives. I thought that's what he would get offered from the Commanders, and we would have to get in that area to bring him back.
Yep.
That was my
Yep, 315 is $5 million a year, and that's where I have him. I said between 5 and 6 to ensure he comes back, kind of, so that we don't get outbid. The way I see his situation is that a team will have to almost go way above to outbid us, but we cannot insult him with a low ball, because I think he wants to stay. Staying with the Cowboys in Texas it's an advantage with the state tax kind of rules, and those things matter. Osa's deal, for example, had a lot of that factor into it. A lot of people think that it was a great deal for the team. It was, but he probably was going to get $1 or $2 million more in another state, but then lose 75% of it on taxes. So he kind of took a hometown discount. That was a win for us as fans, and I'll say fans in general, because I, for example, thought that to me he is the best D tackle that we have, but we're overvaluing him because of that fact, because it's just a bad D tackle room. It's just a bad D tackle room. So hopefully he'll prove me wrong. I was not the biggest fan of paying him 20, not even 20, even though that's a great deal in the scheme of things. I think it's like 14th D tackle in the league. I still thought that it was an overpay for him. That's just me, my personal opinion. So, I think cornerback is going to be a sneaky in. I do want J. Lou back. Unlike Osa, I was ready to let him go because I figured he was going to what's that called? He was going to say again?
Outprice us.
Yes, he was going to outprice our market. Typical to these type players. And I, however, saw him as the next Jason Hatcher, as the next, guy that gets paid. But then in retrospect, when we look at it, we're like, oh, we got away with that one. We got away with that one because Jason Hatcher did get paid out of here, and he wasn't really. He never really earned the contract that he got.
So do you think, other than J. Lou Parsons, and we just signed Marquise Bell, 3 years, $12 million, 2.5 guaranteed. 2.5 guaranteed for 3 years is fantastic. But other than J. Lou Parsons and Bell, you got anybody else, Dallas? You think Dallas resigns?
So this is where we're gonna know whether the Cowboys have turned a new leaf or not. Because again, they've been the late signers. They don't sign a year early. They're always signing either on a contract year or that off season. But guys like Deron Bland, guys like Tyler Smith, those are contracts that if you're turning a new leaf as a staff, learning from the the errors of your past, and you want to correct course, you can get ahead of. And if you have in mind to cut Trayvon eventually, because I do believe he's in line to get cut eventually. He's not going to live out his contract with the Cowboys. Write that down, because I'll tell you that I've heard enough about how upset they were with his rehabs, and they may see this as damaged goods for him. So if they are truly going to move on from Trayvon Diggs, whether it's this year or next year, you need Deron Bland. You need him. And Deron Bland has earned his contract. So I think that, I was listening to Brian Broaddus, and he intimated that there is some discussion that he may even be signed before Micah. So if we are going to predict the next non-Micah signing, let's say Deron Bland. I would like Tyler to have some discussions in there that they can get ahead of that contract. But maybe it's just too much to ask for the Cowboys, because they just don't think like that.
Yeah.
With Ferg's down here, Mike, I don't think that'll happen. just because of how abysmal the tight end room in general was.
I know, but I just want to.
I of course I would love that, but so how does the restructuring of Dak and Lamb's contract affect the Cowboys' future salary cap?
So, I think both of those were like no-brainers, first of all, because of the situation we're in right now. They purposely did not do anything last year with new players and things like that, because they saw that they needed to kind of reset that a little bit. Both of those contracts were written in a way that we're going to expect at least 2 years of restructures from each of them, depending on their quality of play. And the first year was going to be a no-brainer. Dak was not going to play an $89 million cap hit. That was a no-brainer. And then CD was just too easy to do. They put like 3 to 4 void years on each of those contracts, and they purposely created the structure so that money gets pushed into the future years, which fans panic all the time. But what they need to realize is that you took, for example, $37 million of Dak's today's money. You took that same 37. You took 27 of that, because 10 of it stays in this year. So it's 10 million of that 37 gets prorated over 5 years. So you got, that future, that money goes into the future where the salary cap is higher. So the hit is less. Percentage on the cap is going to be less next year than the next,
Yeah.
So it's actually going to help them out for the immediate future. It only becomes an issue if he doesn't play or perform to the standards of that contract. And depending on who you ask, that's not an issue, because he's a baller. And if you talk to others, he's a dud and he's a bum and we made a mistake. So we'll see. If he, my opinion on Dak is that I'm not afraid of him performing to his contract. My worry is, will his health allow it? He is not a performance risk. To me, is a health risk. Is he Tony Romo in that 15 to 16 year where his body just was broken? It just can't keep up? Or is he, a freak accident and nothing to be worried about? I just don't know. It's starting to become kind of a red flag. And I used to be a huge Dak stan and apologist almost. And I'm not there anymore. I like Dak, but I do think there's some things that we have to kind of, take a bigger macro view on. And part of it is his health. So I was, they are not as surprised or as worried, I should say, because they had up to a maximum of about 37 to 40 million to structure, and they used it all. They didn't have to use it all. So the fact that they did makes them, they're telegraphing that they're not as worried because they maximized that contract. Same with CD. They're not worried with CD. They took the entire maximum structure that they could push into the future years, and they did it. And they opened up cap space now. We're at 54 million of cap space. That's like the most. It's the most open cap space we have had this, in the 2020 era.
Third or fourth in the league, I believe, too.
Well, they used to be there. They've done, some other teams have done some stuff, and now we got pushed down a little bit. We're like number 8 to 10, something like that. Okay. But it's still a more than we've ever entered a opening of a calendar year in ages. Problem is, we can't field the 53 right now. We do have we do have enough players for top 51, but not at the right skills. So we don't have a full roster right now. So we're gonna have to use that money to field a proper roster and have some left over for maybe some aggression. Some selective aggression.
Good segue, right to Paul's. You set us up very well.
Yeah, well, Frankie, you know, like Mike said, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. But when you look at Dallas's roster in this free agency class, do you see Dallas using free agency maybe just to add depth pieces, or are there some potential starters out there that you think they could add?
I do, because again, they didn't have to open up 54 million in space. There's no benefit to do it now because that money for Dak is there throughout the whole year. So if you need it for like injury replacements or some emergencies, you could have done it in the future. The fact that you did it now, that you maximize both of those, and there's some other maneuvering. You know, Trayvon is one of them. You got Donovan, you got Hooker, you've got Steele, you got some restructures that you could do out there. You could do some cuts, some post-June cuts. I do believe that their quick pull of the triggers on those two contracts and open them up to the maximum sort of intimate that they're going to be selectively aggressive. I do believe. I'm not talking about day one. They're not day one players overnight. They're not going to do that. They may not be day two overnight players. But then you start thinking of the third day or the third wave, face, a tier 3, tier 4. We've been playing in tier 6 and 7 all along. So tier 3 is going to seem like a huge improvement to the fan base. And I think that's where they'll play. You mentioned some players. I think, positions like maybe they'll get a veteran quarterback. Cornerback, a veteran linebacker, a veteran running back, depending on the decision on Rico. Try not to become so telegraphic with the draft. Cover the bases that you need to before you have to force yourself to draft X, Y, and Z position, and you're more flexible to what the board falls for you.
Well, let me ask you, Frankie, what do you think the biggest need is in Dallas right now with free agency upcoming?
This team needs everything. Everything, including a quarterback. They don't have a backup. They got Greer. I think he's on the signed roster. But if you were to, the smartest way to kind of plug your holes is to make the draft complement what the free agency field looks like. So, the opinions out there is a hugely deep running back, D tackle draft, weak in top end rushers, top end rushers this year. It's weak at the O tackle type of position. We have needs in all of those areas. A lot of the tackles in the draft are probably projected to be better guards. Our need is larger at guard than tackle. So, if you kind of mismatch what you're able to do with free agency, it sets you up for a better draft. So I would say that I would want to bring in a veteran linebacker. That's a cornerback. And I'm still unclear what are they going to do with Rico and running back. And then I don't like any of the wide receivers in the free agency market. I just don't. I believe that that's going to be a very high target in the draft. I would like to shore up wide receiver through free agency. I just don't like any of the names, to be honest with you. There either has been, I'm going to want more money guys than I'm comfortable with. Let's say like the Cooper Kupps or the, a lot of I think Devontae just signed, so he's off the market. But I didn't want him anyway because he was going to just, again, look what he got. I don't want to pay $20 million for my second wide receiver. I'd rather pay Tet, $4 million on a rookie contract. But I can't promise that Ted's going to be there. So I understand that you can't lean on that right away. But this team cannot field a competent linebacker room, We only got like 2 under contract, right? We got Marist. I think Clark is on the contract, and that's it. So I think we should bring in a veteran. I'm not sure what they're gonna do with Kendricks, if they're gonna offer anything. Cornerback, I think we Jay Lue's not here. Trayvon's not gonna play day one. We can't roll out there with Carson and Bland, and who's I can't even tell you who the slot would be. So I think those are top 3 needs in free agency that I want to bring in. Not the top needs of the team, because I'm thinking the wide receivers are high team need, but I like the draft at wide receiver. I like the draft at running back. I like the draft at guard-ish, O-line, not OT, but the guard line. So I wouldn't be mad if they don't prioritize the positions that I know I can go into the draft. D tackle, D line, rush, those are needs. So I mean, this team needs so many positions shored up that you can line them up in you can rank these positions in a lot of different ways.
Yes, Brenden.
Just making sure. So whose cat is going crazy?
Oh, that's mine.
Oh, I thought it was mine. So that's why I was asking. I'm like, am I hearing things or not?
Yeah, they're not used to me being over here at this time. They're usually chilling out, sleeping somewhere.
You guys don't want to talk about cats going crazy, okay? My cat went crazy. Yeah, go for it, Brenden. Just jump to your next one's perfect.
I was like, dude, that's what my cat does for my dad. Like, it's really weird.
You can put them on camera. We're animal friendly. We love animals here.
Yeah.
If the kitty wants to come up, jump him up.
Well, hey, Frankie, is there a player no one is talking about you think could end up being a surprise signing for Dallas?
Oh man, this is where I looked at what was it? I saw a free agent that I'm like, watch someone like that end up on the Cowboys, but oh man, the name is escaping me. You can never tell with the Cowboys. They sometimes surprise us with some names out of the blue that no one was thinking about, whether it's because it's the right price or it's some connection with the coaching staff. The name that I think Pig said it earlier with Spillane, someone like that.
Yeah, Robert Spillane.
Yeah.
But he's been linked, as a need. So you got me there, Brenden, because again, I don't know the guys around the league that well. But
any bigger name would be surprising. It
will be a name because we don't shop for those big names. It's always going to be a sneaky guy, and sometimes they get it right. Sometimes they get it right.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, could this be the year one of the few occurrences where more talented players will be available in June after getting cut?
Well, it could be. I mean, we've had a lot of big names released pre free agency that it's been more unusual than in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe teams in the next couple of days start designating some others for salary cap purposes. So I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some more names that are shocking cuts. It's been very active pre-free agency. So the trend can continue. So I would say yes. I would say we'll see some names down there that'll raise their eyebrows. Von Miller got released yesterday, and there's the trend has been big names, big names. Devontae, Von Miller, Hargrave. You got Cooper Kupp out there being shopped. You got Hendrickson shopping for trades. I mean, that's a humongous name. That guy was like Defensive Player of the Year finalist.
Yeah.
Back-to-back sack king. So yes, I think so, Paul.
Do you have anybody, even if it's just Dallas, you don't have to go beyond that unless you know somebody, off the top, but somebody that you think is going to have a market that's not as big as people are expecting?
If I think someone like Tank, I think Tank Lawrence isn't going to break the bank on another team. I don't think he'll go to any team. I think he is either going to go target a specific situation, something like, going to the Commanders, someone he's familiar with, or he's just going to sit it out, wait till to the draft, see if the market ripens up a little bit. I just don't see that a guy that has all these repeated foot injuries is going to command a lot. And not saying that he's not a good player. I just think that, at his age, he's got a lot of mileage. He's got those missed seasons. I think it's going to impact his market. Unlike maybe J. Lou, I think will get more than that 2 point. If the market is 2.5 million for J. Lou, and that's what Spotrac is telling us, I think more than one team is going to gladly pay him more than that.
Agreed.
Well, we talked about him earlier, but Trayvon Diggs is likely to, you're talking about traded or cut. How much would that cost the Cowboys this year, and how will that affect their cap in the future?
So depends on when they do the decision. If they do it before the 5th day of the calendar year, they will save themselves $3 million on the cap, $3.5 million on the cap, and carry $9 million of that money moving forward. Seems so if they don't feel that he's going to be the Trayvon of old, it seems like an easy decision. It's a hard decision because he's a popular player and he was good when he was good. But I do think that injury is more serious than a lot of people are treating it like. I think it could be a career ender, a career threatening at least. However, if they wait until maybe he gets healthier to pull the trigger or to make him marketable again, then his $9 million salary of this year becomes guaranteed. So that's that's going to offset a little bit of that savings. Now, if he gets traded, it moves to the new team, so it doesn't stay with the Cowboys. So that wouldn't affect the dead money anymore. But if he's cut, then we're responsible for at least $9 million of what the next team pays him. So if his next team signs us to a $3 million contract, then we pay all $3 million and still owe him $6 million. That's how the offset language will work. But on a trade, which is the best way to try to do this, because you don't want to. When you cut a player, you basically sign away all his sunk cost. Yeah, look.
There we go.
This is what the people wanted. We don't want to talk about football in here.
Yes,
Who wants that?
Kitties. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry, I get kitty distracted.
No, I was going to say, did you want to go ahead and ask your question next? Because I think Frankie's kind of talked about mine already.
Yeah, that would be. How would you rate this Cowboys roster as it stands right now?
You
D-. D-. We can't, again, like I said earlier, we can't field a 53 right now. We can't. We do not have enough contracted players today to field a 53 roster. We have to get up to 90. Imagine that 90. So that some of that will happen through normal, progression, the draft and all that. But I have this as like a D-. This off season is very critical. We're third in the division easily right now, maybe fourth, depending on how the Giants luck out with the chips falling on their favor in the draft and how aggressive they are in free agency. So I have a D-. Sorry if that sounds harsh.
It's not harsh at all. Like we like to be realistic here. A lot less optimism and all that. Well, Frankie, who are your top 5 free agents?
On our team?
No, just in the market.
Yeah, I was like in general.
Oh, Man, so man, to be honest, a lot of them have been signed. A lot of the
Yeah.
guys that I was hoping were around, like Nick Bolton, was a target of mine that I would have loved to see. Now he got paid. I knew he would, but again, I see that a veteran linebacker on this roster to help Maris, to help Demo when he comes back would have been fantastic. And Bolton's only 25. So I had him as like my number one target. Like he was my number one pet cat in
Same.
free agency. And they took him away, I think yesterday or the day before or something. Another, I have, before we signed Osa, I had Milton Williams as a better option, to be honest, even though I don't know a lot about him. I would have rolled the dice with paying him and letting Osa walk. I think he's a bigger player. He's a stronger player. I saw him probably as a better fit for a Flus type of a scheme, all of those type things. And again, now he's still out there. I think I haven't seen any signing on him. And then you got some rushers that could be sneaky names. You got the Hassan Reddicks. He's a name that I was intrigued about. Malcontent a little bit, that worries me, but maybe maybe he has a chip on his shoulder, and wants to have a bigger payday in the future. But those are a couple of names that I've been like, and every time I think of a name, they take them off the market. So I'm running out of names right now.
No, I wanted Nick Bolton so bad.
Oh.
Like that was the dude. I'm like, I don't care. We're not gonna spend money, but if we're gonna like spend on one person. Like, let me have him. Like, give it, and then the
that one
Chiefs-
hurt. That one hurt.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Paul.
If Dallas said you can pick one player from free agency to sign, who would it be?
Yeah, that's the question. That's the question that got taken from me, because if you would have given me, if today were the start of the beginning, I would have wanted an announcement that Nick Bolton got signed. So he got taken off the board.
Yeah.
I try to, when I think about who can Dallas sign, I try to stay realistic and risk averse, knowing that they're not aggressive. But I did think that Bolton was realistic. High need. Draft is really bad with linebackers this year. It's weak, in my understanding. It's very weak. So a veteran is in big demand. Nick Bolton was my number one, Paul.
Or who's your number two?
Who would have been my number two? Let's say Hassan Reddick, an edge.
Oh,
That's fine.
I actually, so he's let me move him down, because the other two, there's three. So I like Jonathan Allen. Jonathan Allen is a name that I think we should be hearing more rumblings about interest. And then you've got Hargrave, if I'm pronouncing that right, the big boy that used to be in Philly. And then DJ Reader's back, I think, on the market. He's a name that seems to be coming around every year.
I didn't know that.
Years. You got Calais Campbell, who I've wanted on the team for like 10 years
right now.
So those are the names that always resonate on my mind. It's those Jonathan Allen is up there. You've got DJ Reader. You've got you had Nick Bolton. You got Calais Campbell. But those are names that I would like to see, Paul.
Mike.
Reader's got one more year with the Lions, but Calais Campbell sounds good to me. I'll take him.
Now the Lions just released Smith.
Yeah, Zadarius.
I would add him to the interest list, because I think we do need a veteran rusher.
Agreed.
Zadarius just got released, so he doesn't count. By being released, he won't count against the comp formula, which is great for the Cowboys. That's how they like to look at things.
Him and Jonathan Allen make so much sense because they both don't count against the comp formula.
Exactly.
Go swipe them up.
Exactly. Yep.
Brenden, how about you? Who'd be your guy?
No, me and Frankie were both on Nick Bolton. Like, that'd be awesome. But it's Jonathan Allen now. Like, shocker. Look, we're all saying D lineman because we desperately need D lineman. Shocker how that works out. But like, oh no, Jonathan Allen's been hurt. Like, try to say, like, oh hey, we'll fix him. Like, do that BS run that Dallas always likes to do. And like, dude, just give me another defensive tackle that I'm like, you know what? I'm like, we're at least competent. And then if you get healthy Jonathan Allen, you get a great defensive tackle. But even if we just get good to okay, that's the best. That's the second best defensive tackle we've had in what? I don't even know. I don't want to go backtrack that far.
I'm Javon Holland. That's my guy. I would like to get Javon Holland.
I totally forgot Javon Holland, the free agent.
I want Javon Holland so bad. I know we'll never get him, but like, just
that's so good.
I want him on the team. He would just change, especially in an Eberflus defense. Man,
even Malik Hooker on roids, like what Malik Hooker did in Indy on roids.
Yeah,
I'll say this one's kind of sneaky. It's not like necessarily a sexy name or anything, but I'm going to say Najee Harris, only for the simple fact that if you sign him, you don't have to reach for a guy in the first 3 rounds. You can wait and get like a guy in the 3rd round, and you feel pretty comfortable, like with a day 3 pick as like a backup plan. If you weren't to get like a Genty, or if you missed out on one of those top tier guys. And not only that, but you have like a veteran running back where even if you were to miss out on your top tier guys with your first 3 picks, then you're not going into the 2025 season kind of similar how you were in 2024, where you're bringing in guys like Dalvin Cook and Zeke and relying on Rico Dowdle, who you're hoping might stay healthy.
Who do you think costs more, Rico or Najee Harris?
I've heard they're the same.
See, then I'd want Rico.
Yeah, I think
I need more juice.
I think the Najee name, because he's a former first rounder and all of that, is probably gonna get him paid more. But I would like to keep Rico if that's the case. I'm not the biggest Najee fan. To me, Najee's been a underwhelming first round pick. He's a steady Eddie, which Rico isn't, because Rico's an injury risk. Yeah. But if you were to tell me I can have both and both are healthy, I'll keep Rico. That's mine. I just
Najee see what Najee can do with like a good offensive coordinator, a good defensive or a good offensive line, and a good quarterback. Which
didn't Najee average under 4 yards a carry though?
3.6.
He's like, no, Frankie had hit it on
a lot of that's
he's steady. Well, I didn't say, but like he's steady. Like that is perfect. Like, he's a bruiser. So like you're in the red zone, you want Najee. Like Rico, yeah. Like he didn't do great, but the red zone, Najee's perfect. But I need juice. Like we even had juice and Zeke was in his prime.
Let's do one word, Frankie. This free agency class is blank. What would be your word?
Enticing. Because I think there's some names there that we should be looking at. We have the ability to get. It's enticing. I just don't know if the team is ready to risk it again.
I like that word. I went with manageable. Oh God. It's the boss. I apologize. My actual boss just sent me a message.
Our guy Jordan Stock, he someone who hasn't tuned in a while for personal reasons, but he said he'd like to see us get Judkins in the draft. I wouldn't be mad about that.
Not mad at all.
Najee and Judkins, that'd be pretty fun.
There's so many running backs.
Had Judkins on a personal mock draft. I don't do mock drafts, but if I were to mock, I had him as our 3rd round mock guy.
I feel like he might have to be like your pick 44, honestly, the way he's kind of.
That's what I was told. So when I posted that, people were like, "Oh, Jenkins not going to get there." So my top 3 picks were Tet in the 1st round. I had Alexander in the 2nd and Judkins in the 3rd. And I don't know what realistic options are. So I asked, and people say, "Oh, That sounds good, except for Judkins. They don't think he's going to last till 76, 77,
It
whatever.
is possible, though. That's not one where you're like, oh, my God. You made 3 very possible picks.
Yeah, I would be thrilled with those 3 names.
Yeah, that's a good 3. I don't hate that at all.
Well, Frankie, man, it's always a joy to have you come on, man, and break down the salary cap for us and talk about free agency, man.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me and trusting me with my words and I always like to just shoot it with you guys and discuss things, and you guys keep me straight with what the league is doing. I really enjoy these. So thanks for having me.
You're gonna have to bring the cat on from now on, now that he made an appearance tonight.
Yeah.
He's like, turn that light off. Come on. It's
Frankie, where can we find you on Twitter, sir?
Hey guys, you can find me at Frankie Kenneth L. Love to see you shoot me tweet at me and let's talk. I'm out there, I'm not out there as much as I used to be. Social media these days is it can get a little toxic, so I do take my longer breaks than normal.
Yeah.
But it if the Cowboys get serious again, I'll be compelled to be on there more.
Yep, I like it. The boss
Mike,
is
where
mad.
can we find you?
At CD Piglet, and hopefully still at Cowboys Wire if KD is not that mad. I got to fill out some stuff on the new. They switched programs, and I'm getting used to it, and I messed something up on there, so I gotta fix it.
Brenden, where can we find you, sir?
Yeah. Or if y'all don't like these Frankie Kenneth episodes, I don't know what you want. These episodes are phenomenal. Like Paul said early on, these are by far one of the best episodes of the offseason. Easy, because I learned so freaking much. I'm not the numbers guy at all. And Frankie goes, oh, hey, he's probably going to get this, and this. And we'll see like 2 weeks from now, Jay Lou signs to that exact contract. And they go, oh, well, no crap.
We should do a retrospect, like just a free agency recap, and then see what the league did, what did we do, what did we miss, what were we surprised about.
A lot of misses.
So I like that idea, Paul.
Hey,
I'll be willing.
Hey, Frankie, you're already on 4 times more than anybody else, buddy.
Yeah.
That's a good way to end it, guys. I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. We appreciate you joining us, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye, kitty.